You are now listening to the Masters Mayhan podcast.
Episode 20, Armageddon Programming, Part 1.
You woke up this morning, got yourself a gun. Your mama always said you'd be the chosen one. She said you're one in a million, you got to burn the shine. But you were born under a bad sign with a blue moon in your eye. When you woke up this morning, all that love had gone. Your papa never told you about right and wrong. But you looking good, baby. I believe that you're feeling fine. Shade my body, born under a bad sign with a blue moon in your eyes. So sing it now. Woke up this morning, got a blue moon in your eyes. Listen, you woke up this morning, the world turned upside down. Lord, about things ain't been the same since the blues walked in our town. But you one in a million, 'cause you got that shotgun shine. Shade my body, born under a bad sign with a blue moon in your eyes. Yeah. Wake up this morning, got yourself a gun. Got yourself a gun. Got yourself a gun.
This episode may be deemed inappropriate for some listeners. If you have been abused or are a minor, you should stop now. This episode builds on the previous ones. In our last two previous episodes, we built on our introduction to spellcasting by examining the first half of J.D. Salinger's one-hit wonder book, The Catcher in the Rye. While it is true we could have picked more modern examples from any of the public figures outed by self-admitted Illumis Dan Reynolds, lead singer of the band Pretend You Are a Reptilian Hybrid Moron.
Okay, guys, the time has come. Just gonna break it quick, clean, get it done with. Doesn't matter that I signed a butt of. Doesn't matter anymore. The Illuminati's real. I'm a member. It's how Imagine Dragons got famous. I'm tired of the politics. I believe in full honesty, and Beyonce's not talking. Chris Martin, nobody's saying a word. So there it is. There. I'm going to give you all the details as quick as I can. The president, Elon Musk, vice president, Harry Styles, treasurer, Beyonce, Taylor Swift is historian, and that's all I know. That's all I know.
Or many of the entertainers outed by Isaac Cappy before his convenient death. You may want to look that up on the internet. It is actually more important to build a base of understanding, since today we have fallen so far down Alice's rabbit hole that we have actually reached the Emerald City of the Queen of Hearts.
The genealogy shows that I'm descended from Vlad the Impaler.
Today, we live in Pastiche. The occultists say that it is for
mind control,
but they play word games, so it could actually be both, and they would be fine with that. They love secrets and wordplays. They love them. It's a passion that's kind of sick with them. It's foolish to think that it's one and not the other. It's probably both and three other things too. Wordplays are spells, since the double and triple meaning ring in the mind.
I am a good boy.
While most modern bimbos and numbnuts don't realize it, we have actually reached the final stages of pastiche, from which nothing but a dangerous dose of reality can free us.
There's no place like home.
Thus, we have chosen to unmask the foundations before attacking the bricks. Because
My name's Patty. I'll be testing you.
LGBTQI, plus.
Any questions?
Yeah, one. Have you always been a chick? I mean, I don't want to offend you, but you were born a man, weren't you? You can tell me. I'm open-minded.
Boys are boys from the beginning. When you're born a boy baby, you grow to be a bigger boy and then a man. Girls are girls right from the start. When you're born a girl baby, you grow to be a bigger girl and then a woman.
This Easter Sunday has been designated as a Transgender Day of Visibility.
LGBTQI,
Only girls can be the mommies. Only boys can be the daddies.
So a guy can become a girl with no physical changes at all.
They were always a girl.
Unless they decide they're guys again.
In which case, they were always guys.
So I can be a woman on the court and a man in the bedroom. I can't believe it. Nice!
Everybody's fancy, everybody's fine. Your body's fancy, and so is mine.
It is true that a shocking percentage of high-profile assassins have held up The Catcher in the Rye as their Bible, the book they felt more than any other as being the one they most closely identified with when
all I see is love.
they bent over, and then all they could see is red. Over the next 2 episodes, we will finish our analysis of this book and reveal the ultimate spell which it is attempting to invoke on the public, and reinforce in the robot children programmed by the Illuminati by stepping into the darkness, by equipping with the programmed. If a body, catch a baby coming through the rye.
In a body, meet a body, coming through the rye. In a body, kiss a body, need a body, cry. Coming through the rye, poor body, coming through the rye. She draggled off her petticoat, coming through the rye.
Il laddie has his lassie, needless say I, yet all the lassies smile at me when coming through the rye.
By the end of the last episode, we had only gotten halfway through the book, but it is fair to say that after having received all of the programming necessary for the end-time goal,
kill John Lennon! Kill John Lennon! Kill John Lennon! Kill John Lennon! Hey, Dad, where does John Lennon live?
John Lennon's dead, Butters.
Ah, dang it.
it is now time to test the program, accept any successes, and then build on these to lock the program in. This is the last step in the process that we studied in episode 19, called step number 8 by hypnotherapists. 8 in ancient thinking is the new dawn, a form of rebirth, whether vaginally or enkal. Hold that thought for now. Step 8. Accepting any and all successes and using them for reinforcement the next time. And thus, the ritual begins again, building on what worked and the lessons learned from the first 7 steps. The great self-absorbed Masonic Illuminati teacher, Albert Pike, we will be meeting him soon, said that World War I was the setup for World War II, and that World War II would only be necessary if World War I failed to create the worldwide new normal that it was designed to create.
The First World War was to be fought so as to enable the Illuminati to destroy Tsarism in Russia, as vowed by Rothschild after the Tsar had torpedoed his scheme at the Congress in Vienna, and to transform Russia into a stronghold of atheistic communism. The differences stirred up by agents of the Illuminati between the British and German empires were to be used to foment this war. After the war would be ended, communism was to be built up and used to destroy other governments and weaken religions. World War II, when and if necessary, was to be fomented by using the controversies between fascists and political Zionists. In short, this Second World War was to be fought to destroy Nazism and to increase the power of political Zionism so that the State of Israel could be established in Palestine. During this World War II, international communism was to be built up until it equaled in strength that of united Christendom. When it reached that point, it was to be contained and kept in check until required for the final social cataclysm.
Basically, a one-world pseudo-Zion government based out of a unified Jerusalem. If World War II also failed to do it, World War III would most definitely be the final one needed. And thus we come to the moral of what the book is trying to say and trying to teach and trying to program. The catcher lurking in the rye lie. Having basically reached the midpoint in this book, our programmer is going to attempt to lock the lessons in via repetition and practice in order to create the specific goal. Let's see if we can figure it out by using a few truncated examples from the second half of the book to both prove our point and discover the goal of our national programming. It is hoped that by seeing more of this correctly, we can sidestep some of what the occult has planned for us, while we can still reject the program, either culturally, nationally.
It's over for you, white race. So that's why I'm speaking so honestly here, to bring it out into the open so that you can see it for what it is. You've been teaching the people real good, but they don't wake up, do they? You don't get a lot of followers, do they? Because you know why? They're scared of us Jews.
But more likely now, individually. If our author Judy Salinger has done his job correctly, we will find ourselves in a deeper trance of acceptance. See if this time you can recognize the game being played on you halfway in. Up to this point, we have been induced into accepting our natural sexuality as a building rage with arousal being connected to violence.
I want you to stare into the spiral.
Snap! The job's a game!
All of a sudden, I got old Jane Gallagher on the brain again. I got her on, and I couldn't get her off. I really got to know her quite intimately. I don't mean it was anything physical or anything, it wasn't, but we saw each other all the time. You don't always have to get too sexy to get to know a girl. She was a funny girl, old Jane. I wouldn't exactly describe her as strictly beautiful. She knocked me out, though.
If we inserted episode 18 in you correctly, and we really did try to get you to come to the correct conclusion, you should now be able to see the same pattern yet again. You, as Holden, were placed in a trance, a state of suspension, held on, or hold on, as you were programmed to objectify boys in a feminine, sexual way. The alpha dog...
Bark.
Are you joking?
Don't talk back to me. You may only say, "Yes, master." Now walk around the room like a dog.
I am a good boy.
Is the only beast who mounts both males and females. He is...
I am Oz, the great and powerful.
We start with the boy's butt. The first time, having broken down our sexual borders with boys in trance, it is now time to try our hand by continuing on the girls, which feels less forbidden now, even though it is not.
No means no forever.
Here we lust over Jane by putting her on us and being unable to get her off us, but just as our brains begin to visualize this...
All of a sudden, I got old Jane Gallagher on the brain again. I got her on, and I couldn't get her off.
And we admit that we know her intimately, in the present tense. We are out of it by saying, "Oh, not sexually, so don't think that, you dirty-minded prick of a prude." But understand that we did think it subconsciously, and note that it is impossible to not think a thought, just as you can't prove a negative. Try it yourself. Here's an example. Now, it's very important that you follow my instructions exactly now in order for this to work. Take a deep breath and let your mind clear, unless you're listening to this podcast while you are driving. or doing something dangerous, then don't do that. I mean, duh. Now, as I tell you the following story, it is absolutely crucial that you don't and never allow yourself to think about a white polar bear. Here we go. Once upon a time, now wait a second. We need to pause a quick minute and make sure you understand. Are you thinking about a white polar bear? Because you can't for this to work. If you start to see his fluffy white fur and his cute face, white polar bears do have really cute faces, even though they can be really dangerous, especially if they are hungry. And it's those images of their white fluffy fur and cute white polar bear faces that will completely ruin the story. So it's crucial that we make certain that you do not think about one right now, or the important story we are trying to share with you will fail and you'll miss this very important lesson. Okay, take it seriously. Once upon a time, in the snowy cold tundra of the Arctic North, where so few animals can eke out a living, are you thinking about the white polar bear? Because you'd better stop it. You're ruining my story. Now, where were we? Boy, I wish you were a better person and could follow instructions. Do you have any idea how much work goes into these episodes and how many shekels we are losing doing these for free? At least you could do us the honor of our one request that we have ever made of you, and that is not to think of a fluffy white polar bear while we tell this important moral story for your edification. Oh, you're so weak. Just like a mother polar bear after she's been hibernating all winter in the cold Arctic while her two little cubs suck away 1/3 of her body fat because she wakes up and has to lead them across the snowy cold Arctic tundra in search of an unexpected seal. Hopefully now you'll respect my one request of you and not think of her so I can teach you this morally important lesson. Now, where were we? Oh, we had just said don't think of a white. Okay, here we are on the white tundra without any polar bears in your mind. Once upon a time, in the snowy cold tundra of the Arctic North, where so few animals can eke out a living, a lone, white, furry seal sat near her hole in the ice. She was totally unsuspecting of the danger that was slowly creeping up on her, inch by inch, and ever so slowly. It licked its lips as it anticipated sinking its teeth into that furry. Are you thinking of the forbidden thought now? Okay, don't do it. Fat, blubbery flesh. She couldn't see her coming attack because of the white fluffy fur, which camouflaged her attacker against the white fluffy snow. Suddenly, it pounced, but the seal flipped into the waterhole at the last possible moment. Poor Nanook of the North and his little Eskimo cubs were going to be so hungry tonight. But at least they had warm bear skins to wrap themselves in. These weren't polar bear skins, so don't think that. These were synthetic bear skins they had bought at Kmart before they closed the Alaska stores the Christmas before. Okay, do you see how it works? Judy Salinger is doing the exact same thing to you here. He gets away with it because he tells you that he is not doing that, and thus you are the prick for thinking it and daring to think it.
I want you to listen to me. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
You are the one with the dirty mind, not Bill or Hillary Clinton.
Indeed, I did have a relationship with Miss Lewinsky that was not appropriate.
Or even George Bush.
When are you going to apologize for the million Iraqis that are dead because you lied? You sent me to Iraq in 2003. My friends are dead.
Because they told you what their intentions are, and they know that you can't not think a thought, since they have spellcast it openly.
Governor Bush, what political philosopher or thinker do you most identify with and why?
Christ, because he changed my heart.
What comes next after this programming is veiled proof that Judy knew that the source of his programming was the Jewish Masonic wing of the New World Order. He got his book publishing contract because he, like Uncle Walt, was willing to pipe the Pied Piper's tune. Watch for it as we continue.
I remember this one afternoon. It was the only time old Jane and I ever got close to necking even. It was a Saturday and it was raining like a bastard out.
I'm a bastard.
And I was over at her house on the porch. They had this big screened-in porch. We were playing checkers. I used to kid her once in a while, but I didn't kid her much, though. You never wanted to kid Jane too much. I think I really like it best when you can kid the pants off of a girl. When the opportunity arises. But it's a funny thing. The girls I like best are the ones I never feel much like kidding. Sometimes I think they'd like it if you kidded them. In fact, I know they would.
No means no for Elmo.
But it's hard to get started. Once you've known them a pretty long time and never kidded them. Anyway, I was telling you about that afternoon Jane and I came close to necking.
Can you now hear and see it? A Gentile's children are the currency of the elitists, Semitic or otherwise. They, like Jeffrey Epstein, like to kid the pants off a girl. Let's see if any
I am a good boy
violence comes next.
Jane did something that just about knocked me out. The newsreel was on or something, and all of a sudden I felt this hand on the back of my neck, and it was Jane's. It was a funny thing to do. I mean, she was quite young and all, and most girls, if you see them putting their hand on the back of somebody's neck, they're around 25 or 30, and usually they're doing it to their husband or their little kid. I do it to my kid's sister Phoebe once in a while, for instance. But if a girl's quite young and all, and she does it, it's so pretty it just about kills you.
Kill John Lennon.
Nothing quite like to nail it home.
Oh, boy.
Yes, I think I'd like that.
We are once again given several chapters about how everyone is a liar. You can sense the post-traumatic stress disorder
I am a good boy
that J.D. suffered after the war when he wrote and rewrote these chapters, but that is a sidestep. After repeating and expanding the themes pre-programmed in the first hypno session, we see them again and we are tested. Of interest to the larger moral of this therapy session is the introduction of two people. The first is described as the arrogant bastard.
I'm a bastard.
Albert Pike. Albert Pike is considered by many to be the greatest esoteric Mason to have ever lived. After Al, Esther Crowley, of course, who is believed to be the real father of Barbara Bush.
I'm a bastard.
The wife of I
am Oz.
George Daddy Bush.
What is at stake is a big idea, a new world order.
We'll talk about Al, Esther Douchebag Crowley, at another time. Other than Al Pike, whom Judy has little respect for, the other man he speaks at length about is Mr. Carl Luce. His name literally means the free man of light. And of course, Luce is the slang name for Lucifer.
I've spoken of 1,000 points of light.
Dream and 1,000 points of light.
All the rhetoric you used to hear, the 1,000 points of light. What the hell was that, by the way? 1,000 points of light. I never quite got that one. I'm trying to say, what the hell is that? Has anyone ever figured that one out?
While possessing Al Esther Crowley, old Luce gave the occult his one and only commandment. You are free to do as you wish, anything you wish. This will be my only law.
As Jews, you know, we gotta do what we do.
Christians and all law-abiding humans are not free to do as they wish. Real Jews and real Christians are to follow the Ten Commandments as given to Moses and everyone else, or at least the 7 Commandments as given to Noah. So humanity can't do whatever they wish. They can't murder children, rape people, mess with DNA, force people into smart city concentration camps, rig elections, and otherwise do whatever they wish. They can't party and dance and drink blood like a vampire.
And we drain the blood and we mix it with the Passover bread.
The genealogy shows that I'm descended from Vlad the Impaler.
Or eat people like a Cainabal.
My father, who's not your father, my father Yahweh, who isn't your father, of course your father is talked about by my father in John 8:44,
stating that your father was Satan and that you're the descendant of Cain, who was the first murderer. And you know that's true because you teach it in your synagogue.
Well, that's true, but it's not for you Goyim to know. But right now it's too late. It's over for you, white race.
No human on earth is okay just as they are. All weaknesses were given to man by his Creator to lead us to truth. It is only through obedience and sacrifice that man can be reborn en Kal. And all. The ultimate sacrifice is, of course, our sin nature, called the inner beast. The natural man, or Darwinism, and the silly woman.
But aren't they all witches inside?
Laden with sin by God in his law. The Luciferians among us are teaching something different. Hear the message in this warped sermon and understand it.
I am not a stranger to the dark. Hide away. I say, 'cause we don't like your broken parts. I learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away. They say no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious.
One in a million, you got to burn the shine. You were born under a bad sun with a blue moon in your eye.
Now, note this carefully. These words are not accidental, and that is your clue. The Luciferians teach that the ultimate destruction is being returned to dust by the Father God on the day of judgment, or the second death. But they tell themselves they have a secret weapon because they are glorious. Listen to the words here. It is a call to action, but a call against whom?
When the time is gonna cut me down. The sin gonna drown him out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me.
You can create any world you wish in Pastiche. It is always the end goal of all mythos, and it works very effectively, but only on human beings. The fake story being told here resonates because it is connected to bullying, which most of us can relate to, having either done it or had it done to us, or both. But note the conclusion. The conclusion is war. Hear it here for yourself and understand.
Another round of bullets eats my skin. But fire away. This today, I won't let this shit sink in. We have always seen through the barricades. Reaching for the sun. Yeah, that's what we become.
As soon as one objects to this violent message, one is accused of hate and supporting bullies. See how you are set up?
We'll convert your children. Someone's gotta teach them not to hate. We're coming for them.
Here we are told that all humans matter. But that's not really true. Listen to this introduction to this very song from a middle school choir singing it.
Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter.
See, some of you don't matter to them. In time, that will include their parents. Remember George Orwell. Lucifer believes he will be heard for his much speaking. Note they will drown them out. But just whose words are the sharpest against the Illuminati, paganism, from which we get our word propaganda, and all Luciferianism? It is the Logos, which means the Word. Now go and look up John's Revelation, chapter 19, verse 15, and see what's coming forth from the mouth of Logos. Are you noting the same religious words that the San Francisco choir used? There's nothing I'm not worthy of. We are going to convert your children. This was Lucifer's cry in the garden after he was caught giving the fruit of death to Eve. None of God's creation are chosen for this. Declaring that you are you only leads to sorrow, as the Christ has said that you will only find yourself once you lose yourself. You are not enough, but you and Christ as one can do anything. Knowing that Lucifer is setting you up for failure, hear how Judy describes Old Luce.
Old Luce. What a guy. He was supposed to be my student advisor when I was at Wooten.
That's a made-up name for the story. Any resemblance to Wuhan and vampiric bats is...
At the Kaufman Institute for Coincidence, we won't look into the cause of your heart or other problem. At Kaufman, we understand that coincidence is now the leading cause of death. No pesky questions about drugs or vaccines you may have been given. At Kaufman, we specialize in the effects and leave the causes to the conspiracy theorists. And let's be honest, we know the cause anyway. It was a coincidence, right?
But back to Old Luce.
The only thing he ever did, though, was give these sex talks and all, late at night when there was a bunch of guys in his room. He knew quite a bit about sex, especially perverts and all. He was always telling us about a lot of creepy guys that go around having affairs with sheep, and guys that go around with girls' panties sewed in the linings of their hats and all, and fags and lesbians. Old Luce knew who every fag and lesbian in the United States was. All you had to do was mention somebody, anybody, and Old Luce would tell you if he was a fag or not. Sometimes it was hard to believe. The people he said were fags and lesbians and all, movie actors and like that. Some of the ones he said were fags were even married, for God's sake.
I snap my fingers. You forget that you were ever gay.
I was never gay.
Exactly.
Wait, no, stop.
Yes.
No, stop. You can't. I was never gay.
Okay.
No, I was never gay.
Sure.
You can't just state something and snap your fingers and then be like, I was never gay.
You say so.
You'd keep saying to him, "You mean Joe Blow's a fag? Joe Blow? That big, tough guy that plays gangsters and cowboys all the time?" Old Luce would say, "Certainly." He was always saying certainly. He said it didn't matter if a guy was married or not. He said half the married guys in the world were fags and didn't even know it.
Huh? Really? If it's possible to be a fag and not know it, how does one find out if one is a fag or not? Remember that we, as Hold On, are liars and phonies. So we may be fags and not even know it.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Moses would not agree, Jerry, and he was your people's lawgiver. But unlike poor Judy, Jerry's mother was Jewish, so he is really a Jew and not a phony. He is funny, however. Old Luce talks a lot because he thinks he will be heard for his much speaking.
Old Luce would say half the married guys in the world were fags and didn't even know it. He said you could turn into one practically overnight if you had all the traits and all. He used to scare the hell out of us. I kept waiting to turn into a fag or something. The funny thing about old Luce, I used to think that he was sort of faggy himself, in a way. He was always saying, try this for size. And then he'd goose the hell out of your ass while you're going down the corridor. And whenever he went to the can, he always left the goddamn door open. And talked to you while you were brushing your teeth or something. That stuff's sort of faggy. It really is. I know quite a few real fags at schools and all, and they're always doing stuff like that. And that's why I always had my doubts about old Luce. He was a pretty intelligent guy, though. He really was.
Making love with the devil hurts. Times are changing.
Are you beginning to see how they program you and your kids? In episode 1 of our journey together into Luciferian madness, we saw how the goal since the close of World War II has been to keep the human herd at a population where we can be effectively managed by our Illuminati overlords.
Rule Britannia.
This used to be called zero population.
Every day the world is getting smaller by far. Bursting at the seams, what can we do?
Zero population is the answer, my friend. Without it, the rest of us all through.
But is today code-worded sustainability. If you can stomach it, go back and watch some of the many teenage slasher films that were all the rage during the 70s and 80s. You will find that every one of them revolves around some psychopath madman killing young teenagers just after they had snuck away from summer camp, some high school event or family outing, for passionate sex in a cabin, tent, lonely abandoned ghost town, station wagon, or spooky beach house. The repeated message was always the same. Breeding breeds death. A careful non-trance-induced reading of Catcher in the Rye reveals the same message. Holden Caulfield is a sex fiend, but his desires to, or his male roommates, his female girlfriends, old married women, prostitutes, and even his professors, from Antolini to Carl Lucifer, are always connected to death. The actual act, which Caulfield never actually engages in, builds up like a rising lust that can only end in
Kill John Lennon.
murder. The rage at society grows until it feels bruised and broken. But it says that you are the problem, not me. And any attempt to change me from the weakness that I am is redirected back into rage.
All I see is red now. Since we've been over, it won't stop. All I see is red now.
Kill John Lennon.
God, tradition, society, and the nameless masses, who are seen as not broken and bruised, are the real problem.
Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter.
You will accept me as I choose to be, doing old Luce's only commandment. You are free to do as you wish. Anything you wish. This will be my only law. Or,
Hey, Dad, where does John John Lennon live?
You'll remember from our previous episodes that the anger is programmed to never be directed at the occult abusers, the family, but at outsiders.
It's over for you, White Grace.
When one combines this with the shocking high incidence of high-profile assassinations connected by those obsessed with this book, and other forms of entertainment being taught in pulp culture with the same moral right now, go back and watch shows like Return of the Jedi and note the ending. The accusation that this book is indeed a spell becomes harder and harder to ignore. It is said that this book played a part in the assassinations of John and Robert Kennedy, Rebecca Schaeffer, John Lennon, and the attempted assassination of President Ronald Reagan, among others. So how is this done? And how is this rage created?
Pick me, teacher! I'm ever so smart!
Yes, you already know the answer, but just to tighten up your programming, it is done via...
Well, I am waiting, monsieur.
I hate this.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Now, get that rabbit!
Up the anus, until the pain and rage associated with betrayal the mind into
Smoke gets in your
inner chaos is given meaning by
Following the leader, the leader, the leader. We're following the leader wherever he may go. Dee-dum, dee-dee, a deedly-do-dee-day. Dee-dum.
as long as she it.
Follow a fellow who follows a dream.
They find some meaning amidst the meaningless. When the mind is compartmentalized, the lessons of life and morality are also compartmentalized. Thus, the truth of one's life is not known. Jesus' profound teaching that knowing the truth sets you free is most clearly understood here. Lies are slavery. One can never be free as long as one lives in lie, and one's history is denied them. If you have not, please go get one of the movies or books of George Orwell's 1984. And if you haven't or have not yet, please also go and see one of the older movie adaptations of Brave New World or get the book. Both of these are the guidebooks that the occult is trying to use on our future. Having carefully expanded and summarized parts of this book, let's jump to the moral of this episode, which is the conclusion of this programming. Armageddon programming. In the midst of the growing sexual confusion we have been put through, Hold-On changes the story again to say that while he and old Jane are playing a game of Masonic checkers on a checkered checkerboard, old Jane's stepfather comes up to her and asks her if she knows where he keeps his cigarettes. Note, Jane is a bastard.
I'm a bastard.
Asking for a cigarette is an old euphemism for asking a prostitute if she wants sex. Only this one comes off more like an order. Jane refuses to look at her stepfather, and so he asks her again, and this time Jane starts to cry. Her tear hits the red square on the board.
All I see is red now. Since we've been over, it won't stop. All I see is red now.
Believe it or not, this is the moral of Stanley Kubrick's bizarre confessional film, Eyes Wide Shut. Stanley was Jewish, and his last film was his last attempt to speak the unspeakable. See, some Jews are good. So let no one say we're against Jews. Some Jews, like Stanley, were good. Well, we are not certain of J.D.'s express motivation. Stanley's is definitely one of warning. But our time together is short, so let's continue. In the occult, one's God-given sense of morality, called the light of Christ by Christians, is extinguished by the destruction of normal, natural boundaries, This is why they teach boys that they are girls and girls that they are boys. This is why they rape, murder, and torture. This is why they create bastards and break up families. All of this creates a sense of entitlement or karma that allows adults, traumatized as children, to justify whatever actions their coven, Lucifer, demands of them. After having met old faggy Lucifer and Masonic pedophiles, old Jane's stepfather,
I'm a bastard.
It's time to meet Mr. Antolini and his dingbat wife. Antolini is an oxymoron of the words manly strength and submission. So he's a phony too. This time, the attack will be on Hold On himself. Follow the logic here as our book is beginning to sum up.
Mr. and Mrs. Antolini had this very swanky apartment over on Sutton Place, with 2 steps that you go down to get in the living room, and a bar and all. I'd been there quite a few times. Mr. Antolini came up to our house for dinner quite frequently to find out how I was getting along. He wasn't married then. Mrs. Antolini was lousy with dough. She was about 60 years older than Mr. Antolini, but they seemed to get along quite well. Old Mr. Antolini answered the door when I rang the bell. He had on his bathrobe and slippers, and he had a highball in one hand. He was a pretty heavy drinker. "Holden, my boy," he said, "fine to see you. Let's have that coat." He took my coat off me. He turned around and yelled out to the kitchen, "Lillian, how's the coffee coming?" Lillian was Mrs. Antolini's first name. "It's all ready," she yelled back. "Is that Holden? Hello, Holden."
Lillian means of the night, and is connected in sound to Lilith, meaning. So we see that Semitic lie.
My father, who's not your father, my father Yahweh, who isn't your father, of course your father is talked about by my father in John 8:44, stating that your father was Satan and that you're the descendant of Cain, who was the first murderer. And you know that's true because you teach it in your synagogue.
Well, that's true, but it's not for you Goyim to know. But right now it's too late. It's over for you, white race.
Once again, remember the night demon in Stanley Kubrick's The Shining?
"Hello, Mrs. Antolini." You were always yelling when you were there. That's because the both of them were never in the same room at the same time. It was sort of funny.
Huh? What? How can a man and a wife...
Stop that!
...if they are never in the same room at the same time? That is rather funny. Are these two phonies too? Pretending to follow the law of Moses or Christ, but doing other things behind closed doors?
Well, that's true, but it's not for you Goyim to know.
"Sit down, Holden," Mr. Antolini said. You could tell he was a little oiled up.
I'm a mechanical boy.
The room looked like they had just had a party. Glasses were all over the place. Mrs. Antolini yelled something from the kitchen, but I couldn't hear her. "What'd she say?" I asked Mr. Antolini.
"She said not to look at her when she comes in. She just rose from the sack. Have a cigarette." "Are you smoking now?"
"Thanks," I said. I took a cigarette from this box he offered me. "Just once in a while. I'm a moderate smoker."
"I'll bet you are," he said.
See the cigarette? The first time was to set up old Jane, the girl, and her stepfather. Here it's with you as Holden and your mentor father figure. This is not your real father, so in this instance, Hold On is also a bastard being offered a cigarette.
I'm a bastard.
The occult pretends to be fair and open when it comes to gender. The truth is they lie. Men rule in the occult, and mentor boys different from girls.
Bark.
That's it, get those legs up.
From now on, I will be your obedient servant.
At least until the Baphomet.
Princesses can be hairy!
More on that later. In terms of your programming, this time the cigarette is in passing, but your subconscious sees it. It is a trigger. What are you supposed to do? Let's boy continue. I'll add in some annoying trigger sounds to help your conscious mind see what your subconscious mind already knows.
Stop that!
You can thank me later with the cigarette. That's a bad joke. I don't smoke.
Have a cigarette,
Mr. Antolini said. He gave me a light from this big lighter off the table.
So, you and Pensy are no longer one,
he said. He always said things that way.
I want you to stare into the spiral.
I didn't feel much like going into it. I was still feeling sort of dizzy or something.
And as you stare into the spiral,
and I had a hell of a headache all of a sudden,
letting it pull you in, almost as if it were a vortex. And as this vortex draws you in deeper and deeper.
But you could tell he was interested. So I told him a little bit about my oral expression class.
You want to give me your mind.
The trouble with me is, I said, I like it when somebody digresses. It's more interesting and all.
That's it, get those legs up.
You don't care to have somebody stick to the point when he tells you something?
Oh, sure, I like something to stick to the point and all. But I don't like them to stick too much to the point. I don't know. I guess I don't like it when somebody sticks to the point all the time. The boys that got the best marks were the ones that stuck to the point all the time.
Oh, boy!
I mean, it's dirty to keep yelling digression at him when he's all nice and excited.
Shh! He'll hear you!
It's hard to explain. What I mean is, lots of time you don't know what interests you most till you start.
That's it, get those legs up.
I mean, you can't help it sometimes. What I think is you're supposed to leave somebody alone if he's at least being interesting and he's getting all excited about something. I like it when somebody gets excited about something. It's nice.
Coffee, gentlemen, finally,
Mrs. Antolini said. She came in carrying this tray with coffee and cakes and stuff on it.
Holden, don't you even peek at me. I'm a mess.
Hello, Mrs. Antolini, I said. I started to get up and all, but Mr. Antolini got hold of my jacket and pulled me back down. She didn't look too gorgeous. She looked pretty old and all.
I'll leave this right here. Just dive in, you two, she said.
She put the tray down on the cigarette table, pushing all the glasses out of the way.
Darling, if Holden needs anything, everything's in the linen closet, the top shelf. I'm going to bed. I'm exhausted,
Mrs. Antolini said. She looked it too.
Can you boys make up the couch by yourselves?
Can you boys make out on the couch by yourself? No threesome tonight, it seems. Well, she's old and ugly anyway.
Sure, I know. But aren't they all witches inside?
Remember her next time you watch Kubrick's The Shining. The message is exactly the same. We'll save that for now, another time.
We'll take care of everything. You run along to bed,
Mr. Antolini said.
I had lunch with your dad a couple of weeks ago, he said all of a sudden. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. Mr. Antolini lit another cigarette. He smoked like a fiend. Then he said,
Frankly, I don't know what the hell to say to you, Holden. I have a feeling that you're riding for some kind of terrible, terrible fall. But I don't honestly know what kind. Are you listening to me?
I want you to stare into the spiral.
Yes?
It may be the kind of fall where, at the age of 30, you sit in some bar hating everybody who comes in looking as if he might have played football in college. Then again, you may pick up just enough education to hate people who say, it's a secret between he and I.
Follow the rainbow over the stream. Follow a fellow who follows a dream. Follow, 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 follow the yellow brick road.
Do you know what I'm driving at all?
Did you catch it? Did you see the white polar bear? Are you in the Rye now?
Do you know what I'm driving at all?
Yes, sure, I said. I did, too. I don't hate too many guys. What I may do, I may hate them for a little while, I admit it. But it doesn't last too long, is what I mean. After a while, if I didn't see them, I sort of miss them. I sort of miss them. You could tell he was thinking. I kept wishing, though, that he'd continue the conversation in the morning instead of now. But he was hot.
Bark.
All right, listen to me a minute now. This fall I think you're riding for, it's a special kind of fall, a horrible kind. The man falling isn't permitted to feel or hear himself hit bottom. The man falling isn't permitted to feel or hear himself hit bottom. The man falling isn't permitted to feel or hear himself hit bottom. He just keeps falling and falling. The whole arrangement's designed for men who, at some point or other in their lives, were looking for something their own environment couldn't supply them with.
When recruiting young occultists, they are always promised secret knowledge, or the great Mahon. What all the secrets boil down to in time is that wealth and power are easier to obtain when one has no morality. That's not such a great secret anymore. It is possible to take another's labor through slavery, rent, interest, non-productive property taxes, fiat currency, and progressive income taxes.
Well, we did a good job with the public school system. We got you to put all of your children in there. You notice that the Jew doesn't put his children in there. They go to the Hebrew Academy where we teach them the real things, and then they go to the synagogue and they learn the real important things. But we send your kids to the public school. We even have you tax yourself from your property so that you never own your property. And so if you don't make your property tax, we're going to take your property. You can bet on that. And we have you put your kid in a 12-year babysitting is about all it does, because you don't learn anything. And then by that time, the kids, they get to be teenagers, and then we give them the music.
Today, these are less secret, so the enticement today is more about joining the club
for you and me.
that gives you access to these things via secret combinations.
We work hard and we're in harmony.
The Illuminati's real? I'm a member. It's how Imagine Dragons got famous.
Our pedophile mentor continues.
The whole arrangement's designed for men who, at some point or other in their lives, were looking for something their own environment couldn't supply them with, or they thought their own environment couldn't supply them with, so they gave up looking. They gave it up before they really even got started. You follow me? I don't want to scare you, he said. If I write something down for you, will you read it carefully and keep it? Yes, sure, I said. He went over to this desk on the other side of the room and without sitting down wrote something on a piece of paper. Then he came back and sat down with the paper in his hand. He read it to me. The mark of the immature man is that he wants to die nobly for a cause, while the mark of the mature man is that he wants to live humbly for one.
The token of a child is to die as Jesus did for a cause. The sign of an adult is to live to make something happen behind the scenes. Masons and Mahons work in secret for a cause that is the hidden hand. Christians and dumbbells naively are the soldiers who rush off to Ukraine or Israel to die a hero for another's cause. This is the Judas Clause.
This is your hour, Judas. Oh, Master.
You betray your master with a kiss.
This is what George Washington begged us to avoid.
It was nice of him to go to all that trouble. It really was. The thing was, though, I didn't feel much like concentrating. Boy, I felt so damn tired all of a sudden.
Drink it. This mixture will make you more obedient. Like a good doggy. Isn't that right?
Yes, Master.
Ah, Master. You know, I like the sound of that.
You could tell he wasn't tired at all, though. He was pretty oiled up, for one thing.
I think that one of these days, he said, you're going to have to find out where you want to go. And then you've got to start going there. But immediately. You can't afford to lose a minute.
I nodded, because he was looking right at me and all. But I wasn't too sure what he was talking about. I was pretty sure I knew, but I wasn't too positive at the time. I was too damn tired.
And I hate to tell you, he said, you're in love with knowledge. You're going to start getting closer and closer to the kind of information that will be very, very dear to your heart.
That's awful. Do it properly.
Among other things, you'll find out that you're not the first person who was ever confused and frightened and even sickened by human behavior. You're by no means alone on that score. You'll be excited and stimulated to know many, many men have been just as troubled morally and spiritually as you are right now.
Woof, woof. Louder. Woof, woof. That's good.
He stopped and took a big drink out of his highball. Then he started again. Boy, was he really hot.
I was glad I didn't try to stop him or anything. I'm not trying to tell you, he said, that only educated and scholarly men are able to contribute something valuable to the world.
Fetch. Do it again.
It's not so. But I do say that educated and scholarly men, if they're brilliant and creative to begin with, usually have a passion for following their thoughts through to the end. Do you follow me at all? Yes, sir. I kept trying not to yawn. I was so damn sleepy all of a sudden.
Look into my eyes. I control you.
Something else. After a while, you'll have an idea what kind of thoughts your particular size mind should be wearing. For one thing, it may save you an extraordinary amount of time trying on ideas that don't suit you, aren't becoming to you. You'll begin to know your true measurement and dress your mind accordingly.
Every time a dominant man calls you a good boy, you will enjoy this phrase and the wonderful power it has over you.
Then, all of a sudden, I yawned. What a rude bastard. But I couldn't help it. I followed him, and he went over to his closet and tried to take down some sheets and blankets and stuff that was on the top shelf, but he couldn't do it with his highball glass in his hand. So he drank it and then put the glass down on the floor, and then he took the stuff down. I helped him bring it over to the couch. We both made the bed together. He wasn't too hot at it. He didn't tuck anything in very tight. I didn't care, though. How are all your women? They're okay. I was being a lousy conversationalist, but I didn't feel like it. We were all done making up the couch then. It's all yours, Mr. Antolini said. I don't know what the hell you're going to do with those legs of yours.
That's it, get those legs up.
That's all right. I'm used to short beds, I said. Thanks a lot, sir. You and Mrs. Antolini really saved my life tonight. You know where the bathroom is. If there's anything you want, just holler. I'll be in the kitchen for a while. Will the light bother you? No, heck no. Thanks a lot. All right, good night, handsome. He went out in the kitchen, and I got undressed and all. I didn't have any pajamas either, and Mr. Antolini forgot to lend me some, so I just got in bed with just my shorts on. It was way too short for me, the couch, but I really could have slept standing up without batting an eyelash. I laid awake for just a couple of seconds thinking about all that stuff Mr. Antolini told me, about finding out the size of your mind and all. He was really a pretty smart guy. But I couldn't keep my goddamn eyes open, and I fell asleep. Then something happened. I don't even like to talk about it. I woke up all of a sudden. I don't know what time it was or anything, but I woke up. I felt something on my head. Some guy's hand. Boy, it really scared the hell out of me. What it was Mr. Antolini's hand. What he was doing was, he was sitting on the floor right next to the couch, in the dark and all, and he was sort of petting me or patting me on the goddamn head. I am a good boy. Boy, I'll bet I jumped 1,000 feet. What the hell you doing? I said. Nothing, I'm just sitting here admiring. What are you doing anyway? I said over again. I didn't know what the hell to say. I mean, I was embarrassed as hell. How about keeping your voice down? I'm simply sitting here. Well, I have to go anyway, I said. Boy, was I nervous. I started putting on my damn pants in the dark. I could hardly get them on, I was so damn nervous. I know more damn perverts at school and all than anybody you ever met, and they're always being perverty when I'm around. You have to go where? Mr. Antolini said. He was trying to act very goddamn casual and cool and all, but he wasn't any too goddamn cool, take my word.
So he's still hot, then?
Now go back to bed. I'm going to bed myself. What's the matter with you? Nothing's the matter. It's just that all my money and stuff's in one of my bags. I'll be right back. I'll get a cab and be right back, I said. Boy, I was falling all over myself in the dark. Don't be ridiculous, Holden. Get back in that bed. I'm going to bed myself. No kidding. I gotta get going. I really do. It was dark and all, and I couldn't see him so hot, but I knew he was watching me, all right. He was still boozing, too. I could see his trusty highball glass in his hand. All he said was that business about my being a very, very strange boy. Strange my ass. Strange my ass. Boy, I was shaking like a madman. I was sweating, too. When something perverty like that happens, I start sweating like a bastard.
I'm a bastard.
That kind of stuff's happened to me about 20 times since I was a kid. I can't stand it.
Hold on. Holden is saying that he has been molested. And multiple times. Why does he sweat like a bastard? So what is the end goal of this crazy book forced on your teenage sons and daughters going on 60 years now? Well, I've already told you several times. Willetta, former Mother of Darkness, Illuminati child programmer, but later escapee, tell you herself.
Basically, at the time, I was teaching at a Christian school. Go through the day, come home, we'd have little friends over and play and stuff like that, and have dinner. I was a good mom. I was your average American housewife, on the surface. But underneath the surface, then my husband and I would remind each other on nights when there was a meeting. And then what we would do is, when we go to sleep, I had programming in place that would allow me to wake up within 10 minutes of a specified time. So if I knew there was a meeting that night, I would wake up 10 minutes before it was time to get ready and go. A lot of times we would even go to bed with our clothes on, and I never thought that was abnormal. Didn't even question it. We'd get up and go and drive to the meeting, and I was also very involved in military in San Diego. In fact, the group has a lot of military orientation, and so a lot of times I would take the kids to their area. There's the area where the kids would go and change. They had a room, and we would have like baskets of clothes, and we'd change our clothing. You'd take out your clothing, it had your name on it, and put on your uniform or whatever you wore that night. And the kids would wear these little miniature military uniforms. And then they would go out and do their training exercises. They were learning how to march, how to shoot. All kids in Illuminati at least know how to take apart a gun, put it together, and shoot with deadly accuracy by the age of 8 years old. I was normally supervising the younger trainers. They would be doing it, and I would be there watching and making sure they did it correctly.
The occult relies on the truth that the more unbelievable their plan, the easier it is to mock and get people to consent to dismiss. They honestly do see it this way.
And even when we say this outright and tell you people, you don't believe it. So that's your problem.
We realize that these episodes keep getting longer, which was not our original intention. They are getting longer as our time to choose a course correction is getting shorter. But the human brain can only handle so much at a time, and we have more to share in Part 2 about Armageddon programming and what it will mean to you and your community soon. But it's time to go back through the water curtain. Thank you for listening. If you are one who says, "What can I do? I'm just a pipsqueak in the rat race of humanity," we have news for you. You are more powerful than the elites want you to realize. You can say no, and you can share the truth. You could start right now by sharing this free podcast. Will you? You don't even need to sell it. Just share it with a note. What do you think about this? Perhaps you can help a few more sheep wake up to the wolves hiding amongst us. Together we can stop these things, for those that be with us are greater than those that be with them, assuming that we wake up. It is hoped that the God-fearing humanity of all faiths will wake up while there is still time to stop the coming nightmare. Rationale for fair use of copyrighted items used. Fair use law allows fair use when copyrighted material is being used to make a specific educational, research-based, scholarly, and/or critical comment on the work being used.
LGBTQI. You shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Masters Mahon will continue.
A shout-out thank you to YouTuber Urban8499 for getting the word out. Dude, we are proud of you. Keep it up. I have just one request. Is 3 times enough to listen? 4 may be your magic number. Thank you. Get the rest of them up. And more to come.